So while I was standing down there, I got this important announcement. There are a lot of people that are wondering if you're parked legally or not.
Everybody's legal.
There we go. Even better. I was just going to go through the places that you could be parked and.
We'll let Sonliker take care of it.
So if you're parked in lot 34, which is north of here, lot 15, which is south of here, over at the golf center, or over at the Alumni Welcome and Conference Center, all of those are okay, or first floor of the parking ramp is okay. And if it's not okay, let us know and we'll get it fixed. That's what I just heard Andy say, so we'll be fine. Let me introduce Kathy Kuntz. Cool Choices has been a partner of ours in producing the conferences since 2010. And we're really indebted to Kathy and to Cool Choices. One of the most important roles that they play is as our fiscal agents. So we're not incorporated as a 501c3. We avoided having to go through that headache by essentially having Cool Choices serve as our fiscal agent for all things money. But that partnership has developed into far more than just a partnership around the finances. Kathy has headed up Cool Choices since its inception in 2010. Prior to that, she was a program manager in the Focus on Energy program. She's got more than 2 decades of experience in energy efficiency, renewable energy, and sustainability. I would observe that she's really obsessed with practices, behavior change, bringing about the changes that we are talking about today and that you're talking about in your organizations. Technology only will get us so far. What we have to do is affect how people define success, make decisions, think about the roles and responsibilities that they play. So Cool Choices, as an organization, partners with businesses like yours, workplaces, also public entities, to inspire employees to adopt sustainability and sustainable practices, and to facilitate innovation around the idea of sustainability. So help me in welcoming Kathy to the stage.
Since 2012, we've been a co-host of this event, and every year I say it's my favorite event, and it really is my favorite event. Because at this event, we get to hear from Wisconsin businesses about all the amazing things you're doing. And I always leave this event so inspired about what's possible. This year, as Tom noted, our event coincides with world leaders being together in Paris talking about how to really solve some very pressing international global issues around climate change. And the other day I caught some interesting news from Paris where John Kerry, the US Secretary of State, at an event in Paris acknowledged that he thinks business will lead on this issue. Now, from my perspective, that's not at all surprising, but I think some of the media thought it was surprising. That's why it appeared in the news, the places I saw it. I was particularly gratified by this because there are at least 2 Wisconsin companies, past Green Masters, maybe this year Green Masters, I don't know yet, who are in Paris talking about the things they've done to become more sustainable and how that's benefited their companies, but also their communities. So we should feel proud that Wisconsin businesses are already taking a leadership role around this on an international stage. I think it's also exciting that we're here today and we're going to hear a bunch of other stories about what businesses are doing. And you know, at Cool Choices, Tom said we're focused on sustainable practices, thinking about how you influence what people and organizations do. And from our perspective, one of the big challenges around influencing people is making sustainability and people's shared values around sustainability visible. If as a company you're doing amazing things and you've figured out how to reduce the energy use per widget in astonishing ways and nobody else knows, that's fabulous for you, but it's not getting you the sort of customer goodwill it might. It's not helping others, maybe in completely different industries, rethink what they're doing. Transparency is really important. The more you share your stories, the more others can be inspired by those stories. We think that fundamentally showing people what other people are doing is a really powerful thing. It works for us as individuals and it works for us as businesses. So really, my challenge to you today, as I welcome you to this 8th annual conference, is to do 2 things. I want you to talk about what you're doing so that it can inspire others to think about how they could apply that to their own efforts. And I want you to jot down notes about a couple of things that people are doing that might apply in your organization so that you take those things back with you, and so that next year you're one of our speakers talking about this super cool thing you did based on something you heard in a session from some other business. So welcome. I'm excited to be here today. I hope you all have a terrific conference.
The other long-term partner that we've had in putting this conference on has been Wisconsin Manufacturing Extension Partnership, WMEP. And many of you have worked with WMEP people, and if you haven't yet, this will be an opportunity to put faces to names and make those connections for the future. Buckley Brinkman is here. Buckley is the executive director of WMEP. They work with small and medium-sized manufacturers on helping them become more efficient, helping them become more sustainable. There are a host of people around the state. One of the programs that they put in place a number of years ago, 2 or 3 years ago now, is the Profitable Sustainability Initiative, which specifically talks about changes that will result in greater profitability. So I want you to join me in welcoming Buckley to the stage.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We can do better than that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, I get really excited about being here, and I get really, really excited about following Kathy, because she's so much better spoken about sustainability than I can ever hope to be, and does such a great job with her Cool Choices program. And I'm up here today because I get really excited about being at events like this, where people are really trying to deal with the big issues of the day. And for those of you who know me at all, know that I'm a big fan of Harry Chapin. And he was asked one day why he participates in causes like this. And he says that because it puts me with the people with the live hearts and the live hands. The people who are really enthusiastic about things that are going to change the world and are willing to work on it. Matt caught me last week when I was looking at the Paris information and was getting all fired up about it. And I think Kathy hit on one of the really good points, is that it's really going to be business that drives sustainability in the end. You know, it really has to be financially viable for companies to push this forward. At the end of the day, it's going to be the economic value that pushes sustainability to heights that maybe regulation and maybe just treaties can't do on their own. I think that there's never been an issue like this that affects so many different things. You know, I was sitting down talking and thinking about, it's first of all the survival of the earth, but then you get beyond that. It's some choices that have to be made. Economic growth, developed countries versus non-developed countries. How we, as a state of Wisconsin, so dependent on coal, make a transition to something that's cleaner without destroying the economy. how we do the right things and still are able to support our people. And so there are all of these elements coming into play here. And it's a conference like this that you have the chance to explore those. And at WMEP, one of our guys, Mark Hatzenbeller, took a word out of our vocabulary. He took the but word out of our vocabulary and replaced it with and. I challenge all of you today to use that and word. How can we have economic growth and social justice? How can we help developing countries and yet keep our own economy going? So use that and word. So I'm going to underline Kathy's challenges for the day. Make sure you're talking to other people about what you're doing. Number 2, take 2 or 3 ideas back that you can use at your company. And I'm going to add a third. Think about how all this fits into the broader world and how you can actually influence that and really come to understand what's an incredibly complicated issue. So I'm excited to be here today. We're thrilled to be a sponsor, and I hope everybody has a terrific day. Thank you.
Now, before I introduce Tom Sunlighter, who will sort of tell us about what's been going on at BW Oshkosh and really how they've done it, I wanted to provide some observations on business sustainability and sort of where we've grown into over the last year. I'm not going to use a PowerPoint. You're going to see enough of those today, I'm sure, but I hope to leave you with some information that you can share with others. And a sense of optimism, a sense of hope around the things that are happening both within your company and some of the companies that you're going to hear from today. But before we get to that optimism, let's ground ourselves in some realities. Realities like demand for basic resources such as oil and water and staple crops are increasing. And they're going to continue to increase, and that means prices are probably going to rise. But the shift to a renewable economy is occurring much faster than expected. Cost of generating electricity from solar and wind has reached grid parity right now, so it is as expensive to generate electricity from renewable sources as it is from traditional sources. That's a big deal. And that opens up a lot of possibilities for us. From a financial perspective, what it does is mean where is investment being made right now? It is not being made in fossil fuels. There's been more money put into renewable energy over the last 2 years than all of the money that was put into fossil fuel research and development and nuclear put together. So where's the money going? Follow the money. It's going into alternative energy. Another reality, the number of millennials now is greater than the number of baby boomers. What does that mean? The millennial generation is more often than not motivated by making a difference than by making money. So it creates a different reality in businesses that we're all in. Led by the millennials, consumers are expecting manufacturers and other businesses to operate responsibly. And in instances where they don't, punishment is significant. If we took only a moment to think about who's been punished recently, VW probably comes to the fore. How have they been punished? Last month's sales. Down, right? Down significantly. The Golf, down 64% from a year ago. Passat, down 60% from a year ago. Even the Volkswagen Beetle, down 40% from a year ago. If you turn consumers against you, you're punished. That whole idea of transparency is something that we may not like that much, but when we get slammed by it, it's a bad thing. Most consumers, the sort of the opposite side of this coin, most consumers don't have enough information or opportunity or motivation to make sustainable choices about how they buy and use products, so the green and sustainable consumption area is still pretty niche, but it's growing. So you're okay right now, but you better be thinking about this for the future if you're not already. These kinds of realities are the things that are being talked about in boardrooms, and they represent an opportunity for forward-thinking businesses to position themselves as leaders in the new economy. And I would characterize all of you as leaders in this new economy right now. The second big issue that I want to mention, although I don't want to steal Roy's thunder, is the transformation of the utility industry that we are right in the middle of right now. There are challenges to the existing models that utilities have used. Those challenges are caused by things like distributed generation. So if I have solar panels on my roof, or you have solar panels on the roof of your business, you know, that's a different model than centralizing the generation of electricity. It creates challenges. Dramatic reductions in energy use. All of those energy efficiency projects that you put in place and everybody else put in place, they're making a difference. Demand for energy is going down. How does that play into the expectations and the models for the future? Alternative types of generation, some of which don't require fuel. How does that play into changes in the model in the future? Players generating electricity that aren't even utilities. You know, all of us that have solar panels, and we become essentially our own utility. The development of smart grids, development of smart buildings, a number of things that are going on in the industry right now. Some of our state utilities responded to these perceived challenges by doubling down on the old models and dramatically increasing the fixed price of energy transmission. But the blowback from that was significant, and the rethinking and transformation of the industry is underway. Roy's going to talk a lot more about that in the closing plenary, and I really urge you to stick around for that, because I think it's going to be really interesting. Third, a number of speakers have already talked about COP21, the meeting in Paris. Runs through tomorrow, whether we know tomorrow night or sometime this weekend or early next week what the outcome of those conversations between all the different countries are. It's clear that everybody's aware and moving to try and figure out what are we going to do. It's a daunting challenge. To me, the increase in carbon concentrations in the atmosphere is the urgent and pressing issue. The issue concerns me as a leader, as a father, as a citizen, and I believe that you should be concerned also. Our current collective response to increasing carbon emissions is inadequate, and your business strategies, and your operations, and your relationships with your supply chain are all put in question and perhaps put at risk. Steadily increasing carbon concentrations in the atmosphere, certainly something the world's insurance companies and more recently the Department of Defense have said, yeah, this is something that we need to be taking very seriously. But those increasing concentrations threaten jobs, they threaten our economic recovery, and it's not just in the United States, but it's around the world. The other side of that coin is, I think the business community is largely missing an opportunity to work together with government and with civil society to scale up efforts to tackle what I think is one of the most pressing issues of our time. And I know I'm preaching to the converted here. We've come together today because we share these beliefs. We share that we're all alert to the threats that the world is facing. We're all inspired by the possibilities of what can be achieved. And we're all aware that we're bumping up against a crossroads in history. I tell my students every semester that they're entering their professional life at a unique time in history. There's profound transformations of the economy, of our definitions of success, of our governance structures that are now possible, that weren't possible 10 years ago or 25 years ago or even 40 years ago. But things are teed up right now. They're going to be part of this. You're part of this. And my students and the young people in this room may well find themselves positioned to help lead through these transformations. To help prepare young people, young professionals for these opportunities, I'm leading a group of Nelson Institute people that are considering the development of a new professional master's in business sustainability. If you or your business would be interested in advising us on this program, reach out to me. Again, here, send me an email. We're trying to figure out what kinds of skill sets would a professional master's in business sustainability offer to students that we're going to be graduating from. Finally, I want to share with you why I believe that despite the many challenges, there's never been a better time to be part of the private sector. And this is a theme that has come up also from a number of the speakers. It's clear that business is one of, if not the dominant social institution of our time. Businesses have the financial resources, the technology, the know-how, and the global reach to keep us abreast of environmental and social challenges that we now find confronting us. Without the involvement of the business community in reshaping how we think about our individual and collective responsibility to the earth and to future generations, our chances of successfully navigating the waters ahead are slim. The market remains the most effective means that we know of to allocate scarce and valuable resources in a way that maximizes social outcomes. You'll hear several stories today about Wisconsin companies that are leading in their sectors, including stories from a brewer, a healthcare industry, a paper company, the nation's largest plumbing fixtures company. And in each case, these are stories not about philanthropy, but future-proofing growth. As I said, we're at a tipping point. Business is the most responsive entity to make sure that we tip in the correct direction. But governments need to come along, come off the sideline, and provide leadership, and in some cases cover for those businesses that are managing risk and creating opportunity. It's time for the business community to develop a coordinated and coherent voice for what is needed from the government. And yet I'm hopeful. Increasingly, I work with a new breed of young leaders, men and especially women. And we have a session this morning that talks about the role, the evolving role of women in sustainability, with representatives from millennials, Generation Xers, and baby boomers, and talking about what's going on from a woman's perspective, who understand the need for systemic change and who can act as powerful advocates for a new way of doing things. So in closing, I say, whatever your age, your background, your job, let's make sure that those who help shape our future are not asleep at the wheel, nor actively steering us off course. Let them feel the collective pressure of everyone in this room to understand the science, the economics, and the politics of what's happening. This is our moment. This is our time. And most importantly, this is our opportunity.